I met Andy when his sales guys called me one day. They wanted to help him steer the ship because they were true believers, right? And we got on the call. The call went completely sideways. I got back on the phone with the guys and they're like, dude, we don't know what happened. He loves you, but he just wasn't vibing with the call. So I don't think we're going to come to the vault. 2-3 months later, he's not really getting back to me. Would Andy want to be on the website? Do you think that would change it? And he's like, yeah.
Wherever you guys are watching this show, I would truly appreciate it if you follow or subscribe. It helps a lot with the algorithm. It helps us get bigger and better guests, and it helps us grow the team. Truly means a lot. Thank you guys for supporting, and here's the episode. All right, we're here with Don Capi, all the way from Miami, right?
Yep, all the way from Miami.
Not bad at all. That flight is a tough one, so I appreciate you coming out here, man.
Yeah, man, I'm just really happy to be on the platform, on the show, be talking with you. I just have to say before we start everything and start the conversation, your event the other night, the Digital Social Hour event, in this awesome facility, what was that place?
Yeah, it was a hotel, Ahern Hotel.
Dude, that was so, I met so many incredible people there, and I liked how it was just bumping into people, just social networking. There wasn't too much speech or anything like that. And then you interviewed Damon John. I've always wanted to see a shark live. So that was a sick event, man.
I appreciate that, man. Yeah, it means a lot, and it's great to hear feedback. I've done 10 of them now, so just learning along the way has been pretty good.
I've been to so many events, dude. I used to work for PBD, as you know, and we had an event every year, and then I had clients that had events like Andy, and I would go and see how the event structure would be.
Yeah.
But the sheer awe that you got when you walked into the building and you had VIP second story and just how it was all set up was so amazing, man.
Absolutely, yeah. You learn a lot just going to events and having your own, but I'd love to dive into events actually and what you learned from going to Pat's events and Andy's events.
Yeah, okay, so events. So I worked for PBD for 2 years, and we had the Vault conference. We had all different side events, smaller events. The Vault's 3,000 people, right? Mm-hmm. So meeting all these different digital creators. I think the main key to hosting an event is having that back-end team of true believers, like we were talking about, true believers that are there to support you. They're there to push a brand. They're there to have those conversations. Not so much sell, but just build relationships under your brand.
Yeah,
I would say that's the key takeaway. And then as much of you that you can put into your event as possible. You see Tony Robbins do it. You see Pat do it. Andy's out in front of his event the whole time. I feel like the consumer is a lot more happy when it's not a bunch of individual speakers and it's you representing your own brand.
Absolutely.
And the way that Pat did it, which you could do it as well, because you're a podcasting brand, right? You have an interview style. You have an image to uphold. You integrate into the event a lot of different podcasts, and then you take that content, you repurpose it to be extra episodes of your podcast, but live.
Yep.
That's how Pat did it.
Yeah, that was actually my first live pod ever. So,
really?
Yeah, I learned a lot because the mics were messed up at first. Plus, people were drunk talking, so I think Damon was a little upset. But it was a good learning lesson, I'd say. What are some other lessons you learned from Pat? Because he grew so quick.
Yeah.
And you were there along the ride, right? So was there anything that stood out to you there?
Yeah, so when I joined, it was about 20 to 25 people on the team in the Boca office. He had just moved here from Dallas, and anybody on the team before that was there since day one. So then it grew to about 100, 150 employees. When I left, it was about, let's say, 80, 90 employees. And I learned that he built it off of those original believers that really loved the brand. He made those his key first employees. And a lot of them were greenies in their industry. So they didn't have, I didn't have much sales experience, but he knew I was a true believer in the brand. So that's why he brought me on. And then for instance, Kai was one of his first employees. He brought Kai all the way from the Netherlands so he could come. He's from Norway. He came onto the team and then also was a greenie, didn't have a lot of experience in what he was doing, and he grew his whole department. So he would empower people to really learn and grow. So even if you leave the company long term, the amount that you learn working along with Pat is unbelievable.
Yeah.
And he also was very, very hands-on in those early days. We had a meeting with him every single week in the sales and consulting department, and originally it was me and 3 guys. So I had an hour and a half every single Monday with him, and his concepts of how to grow media, his his number one skill is painting a picture and building a vision for his brand and his company, and reinforcing that over and over and over. Like Steve Jobs, for instance, with Apple.
Yeah.
You reinforce the vision over and over and over, and he's constantly rebuying the loyalty and rebuying the vision of each individual employee on his team. He buys into that every single day. He'll come out and say something, or on the pod, he'll shout somebody out to make sure they feel valued.
Yeah.
But I think it's that reinforcement of the vision that makes him so powerful and continues to have him grow with not only his consumer base, who also re-buy into the vision of valuetainment, because they see where it's going long term. And now that we have this political movement that's coming up in 2024, he knows he's going to capitalize on that. But if all the people within his organization aren't re-bought into that vision and weren't told early on what the long-term vision was, they wouldn't know where it was going, so they wouldn't know how to steer the ship.
Right.
Like, we knew that Pat was going to go into a political sector and really dive deep into interviews, like, I don't know, a year and a half ago.
Wow.
We knew that. So painting a very long-term vision and just execution day in and day out.
That pivot's been incredible to see, because not only was it smooth, but he's actually getting even more views. Because before he just did business and like health maybe.
Yeah.
But now it's almost all political, right?
Yeah.
And he's getting insane engagement now.
Yeah. So he micro-niched. The main strategy that I think he used to grow the media brand in general was, as I was taking cold calls for him and talking to random people throughout the network, I would have somebody that watched him for mafia, or I'd have somebody that watched him for business or personal development. So because he micro-niched and dove really deep into a particular topic, he built super fans in every category, and then worked ways to culminate all of those fans through business and general information. So he had super fans in mafia, but then he was teaching business information too. So he went into different micro niches. He didn't stay with one particular thing, which I see you doing long term too, because you're a guy that can talk about anything, right? And you have a very cool attitude. Like, I feel very comfortable talking to you. Ever since I met you or we started texting, I felt very comfortable in the conversation. I felt like I could tell you anything, which is a way that you're going to be able to go deep into micro niches with very influential people, because you're going to be able to pull out more information than most people.
I love that, because some podcasts are so segmented, which is fine.
Yeah,
maybe
it's fine.
That's their lane, but they can't really grow outside of it.
It takes a very particular type of person to be able to talk about so many different things and pull that information out of people.
I think watching Rogan for just 8 years straight has kind of influenced my subconscious, maybe, because he has anyone on also.
And so you're telling me, so you used to watch Rogan all the time?
Every episode, and the full episode too. Now with attention span so short, it's gotten harder to watch full episodes, and I'm more watching the clips. But yeah, for years, dude.
Well, that also happened when the platform changed from YouTube to Spotify.
Yeah, I don't like the audio.
Yeah,
I'm more of a visual.
I'm a visual guy.
Yeah.
I remember watching the Joe Rogan episode where they were talking about like the glaciers and the early bibliotech period or whatever with that one guy. I watched that episode for 7 hours straight when I was driving from Boca to Savannah.
Damn.
With my ex. I was just driving in the car trying to stay awake, and 7 hours straight I watched that episode.
That's legendary. Do you do 2x speed now also?
Yeah, I do 2x. Yeah.
Same. I got on that wave. I feel like it's really efficient. I know people that do 4x on their audiobooks.
What is that processing speed in a brain?
Yeah,
dude?
so he does 30 audiobooks a month. So about one a day, and he does 4x speed.
And he just
he actually retains it.
And does he sit there, or is he doing other things? Like
he usually just sits there, because at 4x it's only like an hour or two.
And you just have to basically brainiac it.
It's impressive, man. I feel like you could train yourself, because I used to do like 1.2, then I went up to 1.5, and if you slowly, but I feel like I've tried 2, 3, and that's a bit fast for me.
4x.
Yeah, 4.
I need to get into that. I'm gonna start training myself.
Yeah.
Just like with ice baths, you have to go just start kind of warm and then you go down.
Do you do any weird health things?
Yeah, I'm a big health guy. Sometimes I struggle, with losing weight, because it's all about being dependent on yourself, being upholding yourself to the highest standard, and always delivering with yourself, like internally. It's an internal conversation to get up out of bed, internal conversation to go to the gym. The best work I've seen with this type of stuff would be Joe Dispenza, Ed Milet. They had a podcast. Both of those are unbelievably good podcasts where they talk about just holding yourself, accountable, essentially. And that discipline is how you lose weight and how you do well. So yeah, ice bath, I try to hold myself accountable to doing an ice bath. I try to hold myself accountable to trying a different, diet, like doing paleo, or trying to not have carbs. But also trying to hit the gym every single day. You
Yeah.
know? And Andy, Andy Elliott, he's definitely one of the guys in the space that talks about that,
Absolutely.
being very on yourself about losing weight.
Yeah, I want to talk about your journey with Andy. You met him at Valuetainment, right?
Yeah.
He was first a client, and now you become in business with each other, right?
Yeah. So I met Andy when his sales guys called me one day, and I was driving. They set an appointment on my calendar, and 2 of his sales guys called me to try to get him to come to the vault because they wanted him to have, a wider vision, I guess, to like expand his vision a little bit.
Yeah.
And they wanted to help him steer the ship because they were true believers, right? So I get on a call with Andy, his 2 guys, and a co-rep. I was brand new to the company, so I had to pass it up to my superior to try to do like a TO, like close this account sort of thing, because I didn't know who this guy was. And we got on the call. The call went completely sideways. And I got back on the phone with the guys, and they're like, dude, we don't know what happened. Like, he just wasn't really vibing with the call, and he loves you, but he just wasn't vibing with the call. So I don't think we're going to come to the vault.
Damn.
So like 2-3 months later, he's not really getting back to me. And we had an opportunity to put a client on the website for the Vault conference. So I called up his guys like, yo, I think I got an opportunity. Would Andy want to be on the website? Do you think that would change it? And he's like, yeah, I think that would do it. Let's get on a call. So I ended up closing Andy and Jackie. They come to the Vault conference. We become very, very good friends. And I went back out to see him after he came to the Vault conference with his huge facility that he just converted into, the new Lion's Den. And he said in front of a group of people that because I went the extra mile to sell him on the Vault and get him there, he was able to learn from Patrick, take notes, digest everything, reformulate his whole plan, and go from 30 to 200 million.
Damn.
And he like pointed me out in front of the entire event.
That is legendary.
He's a cool guy like that. Like if he likes you and he likes what you do and he knows you bring value, he'll shout you out in front of a whole crowd. He doesn't care.
Wow.
He's a great guy.
That's incredible.
And you talked to him, right? You had him on?
He came on the pod, and it was one of my favorite episodes, actually.
Yeah. He's so genuine, bro. He's
So genuine.
the most genuine guy.
Yeah. What are some things you learned from him that you were implementing in your life?
He's such a lion leader, man. Like, and his relationship with Jackie is something that I've been trying to build with like the right girl for so long because their relationship is so amazing, and a lot of his content is talking about a lot of his live event. He hosts like marriage, like counseling events.
Really?
Where he says, I think his most like biggest takeaway from those events is when you're doing all this entrepreneur stuff and you get home and you don't have any energy for your kids or your wife, get that energy back and give 110% to your family and the people that you care about, even more than when you're at work.
Right.
Even if you're tired, you have to bring that extra energy. And the way that he leads a team and it's just at the helm of his ship and his people are super passionate about what he's doing. But it's that, I've heard that other politicians have this skill where you really feel like you're the only person in the room when they're talking to you. It's about eye contact. It's about like an energy that you bring to everybody that you meet. And I try to do that. Ever since I met him, I try to bring a different energy and show people that I care about them at that moment 100%.
Yeah, the eye contact thing for sure. The whole episode he was staring at me in the eyes. And I was like, growing up, I was shy and stuff. So I didn't do that, I guess.
Yeah.
So I guess later in life, I didn't even notice, but it's like a bad habit. When I talk to people, I don't really look at their eyes usually.
Yeah.
So he kind of taught me to do that more.
Well, it's a primal instinct. Like the looking in the eyes is a way to communicate that there's a trust factor and that you're not looking away. A lot of times looking away can indicate like lying or, you're not trying to tell the truth. It is also like a neural processing mechanism where sometimes you have to think, so you look off to the left. I forget which direction it is. But looking in the eyes is a way to show that you're genuine.
Yeah.
And a firm handshake too.
Oh man, that handshake got me. My hand was pretty sore after that one.
Breaks your hand.
Yeah. So working with him, what did you start doing after that?
Yeah. So after, so I was at Valuetainment for 2 years. Near the end, you can only work for PBD for so long until you hear enough speeches about being an entrepreneur and conquering the world to where you're like, you know what, I want to do this for myself. I want to go and figure out what is really me. And there are a lot of things I couldn't do when I was working like 80 hours a week. There's a lot of things I couldn't do. So I'm big in music production. I love to produce music. I've been a singer for 15 years. I can sing exactly like Frank Sinatra if you put me up with a mic. Yeah, exactly.
We might have to do that.
Yeah, but yeah, sometime. Yeah, at an event maybe I'll get up there. And so I had other passions, producing events. You know, I have a friend who's a really big producer in like the NFL Super Bowl. He's actually in Las Vegas doing that. So after I left, it was really just me trying to figure out like what was it that I wanted to do. What was my true passion? Was it singing? Was it business? Because I had this whole new business trip that I loved consulting and negotiating things, right? So I ended up buying a camera. That was the biggest thing that changed my entire life, was buying a Sony a7S III. I started filming people and consulting them on their brand, and I got about 10 clients pretty quickly. Everybody's very happy. And then I got introduced to the LinkMe team, and their link in bio QR code. I think you had a conversation with Ned. He's the CEO of the company.
Yeah, he came on the pod.
They're all great individuals. And now, so I'm in a position where I love business development. Pat always said I had a huge, talent for biz dev. So he put that seed into me. And now I'm just doing biz dev for LinkMe, doing consulting for LinkMe, which is great because we're such a parent, overhead platform like Linktree or social media platform, really, that I get access and communication with all these different stars. And, we have Archangel on the platform. So I have an opportunity maybe to go talk to him.
Nice.
I have an opportunity to talk with you because I know you're in the ecosystem with LinkMe. So it just opened up a lot of doors for me to talk to some really interesting people.
That's cool. I saw Pat was on there. Was that through you?
So Pat was on it prior to me because the team reached out to him, but I got Andy on the platform. That was my initial guy that I got on that showed that I could really leverage, the people that I knew. And that's just extended into, I'm just going around and sharing the platform with everybody, like the different technologies involved with the platform, like how you can QR code in an event, immediately get somebody's information back, show them your entire portfolio. Because my biggest thing was I had almost an imposter syndrome for a while after I left VT. I didn't really have my identity anymore because I was so tied in with Pat's identity. I mean, I was just driving that vision. I love Pat so much, and I love the brand so much that I got rid of my own ego almost to 110%. And this happens with other guys that work for really big guys like that because you're told get rid of your own ego to really help steer the ship. But then if you leave, you're like, wow, I don't even know who I am anymore. So there's a recalibration period. But LinkMe, when you pull up everything that you've ever done and you see all of your portfolio and you start working on your social media and your content, it starts to give you a little bit of a digital identity again. And that it helps you share that with people. So there's not much of a conversation that needs to be had. You show them the profile. They see everybody that you know. They see you can pull up YouTube really quick, Instagram really quick, LinkedIn really quick, to the point where it's very easy to communicate who you are. Like with you or anybody that I meet, I can pull that right up, and I have a certain level of credibility from my work, my hard-earned work that I did.
That sounds useful for events because at my events, it's great. You meet good people, but it's kind of like throwing darts because there's 1,000 people there and you don't really know what people are doing. So that seems like a quick and effective method to get to know what someone's up to.
If you put the QR code, one of the tactics I really like to use with my clients in LinkMe Consulting, which is the department that I'm heading up.
Are you interested in coming on the Digital Social Hour podcast as a guest? Well, click the application link below in the description of this video. We are always looking for cool stories, cool entrepreneurs to talk to about business and life. Click the application link below, and here's the episode, guys. Yeah.
You put the QR code up when you talk at a live speaking engagement, and it takes them to all your social media. So let's say you have like 100, 200 people at the event that got invited by a friend that are a client that you have not closed yet.
Yeah.
They scan it and they get to see who you are.
Smart.
And that might be, then you put your main like buy-in, your main call to action at the very top. That might be to see that credibility, the reason why they click on your event and buy your ticket.
Yeah, that makes sense because there's so many people that watch you speak that don't know who to tag and who
exactly.
to shout out,
Or you'll lead them to a website that's like a ClickFunnels website where that's all they see. Now they see a website with all this wording and all this stuff on it. The LinkMe QR code is a very simple funnel that you can implement every day.
Yeah.
And they see all your socials, so the credibility is established, and then you go for the close right after that.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I've seen you say on another show you think South Florida is becoming the new Hollywood.
Yes.
Why do you feel that way?
Oh, you saw me on another show.
Yes, sir. I did my research.
Yeah, dude. That's great, man. That's why you do so well. You do your research. That's awesome. Yeah, so South Florida is the next Hollywood. Dana White said it when he came to the UFC. I was at the Israel Adesanya Pereira fight in Miami.
Yeah.
And the energy and the vibe in Miami is unbelievable whenever there's an event going on. And everybody's moving out there. All the digital, like, social people, all of the, YouTubers and podcasters. But now I have to say, bro, Vegas is incredible.
You got a little taste of it,
dude.
this trip.
I got a little taste of Vegas, man. I just can't get enough.
I love it here, dude.
You'll learn in life that different places across the world people use for different reasons. You could go to Amsterdam. I've never been, but you could go to Amsterdam and have one experience, or you could go to Amsterdam and look at the architecture, right?
Right.
So Vegas is a place where it's got this kind of, it doesn't have a stigma, but it's got this kind of feel that you go to Vegas for a particular reason, like bachelor parties and all the nonsense, gambling.
Yeah.
But now I think that in the podcast world, I've never met so many real people in my life than coming to Vegas. Like, not only Miami's full of fugazi, and that's another thing that I like to talk about. It's full of fugazi and a lot of people that think there's somebody or they're trying to build a brand and it's kind of offline.
Yeah.
Vegas is where the real, like, digital people come to, the up and coming people, the real people in digital space that have a lot going on, because it's not very cheap to get out here. You have to show up in Vegas. Miami is a place that you can just go on vacation and kind of be there. But I would say that Vegas has given me a taste of something different.
I love it here, man. And like you said, there's so many shows out here. It's nuts. There's like at least 10 really big podcasts out here.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So for this like circuit, right? If you were a guy that wanted to go on a podcast tour and maybe you're trying to build a brand like I am, it's so much better to come out to Vegas because you have 10 stops that you could get in one. If you set it up right, you have the right producer. I know Tyler connected us.
Yeah.
Tyler's an awesome guy.
He's got me so many great guests.
Like, he's just such a cool dude, and I just really have to shout him out because he's helped me so much, with introducing me to you and introducing me to Pineda's team and really getting my, whole podcasting arc going.
Exactly.
It's a story arc, right?
Yeah.
That you have to build for yourself to create a big brand. So I always suggest my clients go on different podcasts, but if there's one place that you can go to get on your show, talk to you, have a great time, then go over here, go over there. It's Vegas.
Vegas is up there. I'd say Vegas, LA, Miami, maybe New York. I don't know too many in New York, but those are the top three, I'd say.
I don't know if there's a lot of big podcasts going out of Miami.
Miami?
You have really big shows, like big network shows, that it's very tough to get on. Like, it's very tough to get on those shows.
PBD, Gary Brecka just started a show. But yeah, I don't really know.
Fresh and Fit,
you got to pay 30 G's to get on there.
And that's a totally different brand that maybe or maybe not you want to build for yourself. Because you're going on Fresh and Fit, you're talking about red pill, you're talking about that whole world of dating, and there's a little bit of risk because in the female audience, they're like, well, I hate these guys for not a lot of reason. I mean, they're just going off a short clip. They just want, so.
I do know people that have paid it, though, and have gotten an ROI, which is a testament to their audience.
100%. I love those guys. I love a lot what they're doing. They've done a lot of work with my good friend Adam Sosnick, who I was very close with at Valuetainment. Him and I, and even Gerard back in the day, like, we're very close friends. And Adam is a truly genuine guy, genuine article. And his show is also in that nightlife, Miami scene, like, OnlyFans mixed with this kind of person having an in-depth conversation about dating. I like that scene, but I like talking about media. I like talking about like what you do, like the digital.
That was an interesting show. So I went on Sosnick's.
You went on Sauce, and
it was the first time. I don't talk to girls because I got a fiance, so that was a very interesting episode. I felt like the girls wanted me to start arguments with them to go viral, but I was just saying my own honestly.
You're like, I have a fiance.
I'm like, I don't care about this.
I have a business I love.
Yeah.
I don't need this.
I'm just here for Adam, honestly. I was talking to Adam the whole time, but I feel like the girls were trying to like stir up some or something. Because I feel like when guys go on there, they attack the girls a little bit. But I was just being respectful.
That's kind of that scene out of Miami, right? Like, as you're meeting friends and you're trying to build connections with guys, like a lot of that network is trying to poke reasons like why to like talk to women or they're trying to build that red pill like ecosystem all the time. And I have my own theories about dating and who you should be that is like kind of an aggregate of working with very, very successful people like Pat and how he treats his relationship and Andy and how he treats his wife. I'm going to be a guy that gets married and falls in love with my wife. I know that to be true. I pray about that. I dive into that. And I think that's the way to do it. I think a lot of our media has taken that away from us and tried to convince us that that's not the way to go.
Yep.
And I'm very knowledgeable about controlled opposition and what the controlled opposition is trying to tell us day in and day out with movies. And you need to be very cognizant of what you put in your brain.
You do, and not many people are. So being in Miami, you do not fit the Miami mold. How tough is it dating out there? Because like you
it's
said,
impossible.
These girls are influenced by music.
Yes.
Especially like hip hop
music especially.
Yeah, hip hop music especially. Movies. I mean, I watch so many movies now where like the girl is the person running the family, and it's crazy to me. Like we've gone away from the traditional family unit. You know what I mean?
And I'm a traditional family unit kind of guy. I see that to be where it really works for the guy too, because like any man, and Pat was really a guy that taught me this in my personal life, because when we became very good friends and we were in meetings, he would call me out about the different places in my life that I wasn't just showing up and performing like a true man.
Yeah.
And I remember one of the most memorable moments is we were in a meeting. It was supposed to be an hour long. It was with like 7 other people. And he cut the meeting to talk to me for 45 minutes.
Damn.
And just talk straight into me. He knew I was going through a breakup at the time. I just gone through a really nasty breakup. He knew I was he could see like in my face a little bit more tired, maybe because I was drinking a little more. I wasn't showing up to the office in the same kind of way that I was before. And he just spoke directly into me, life and telling me that, you could go down the path where you become a famous singer, because I am really good at singing. He knows that. But is that the guy, he said this to me, is that the guy that you want to marry your daughter? That version of you, is that the guy that you want to marry your daughter? Or is there a different version of you out there that's infinitely better with your other talents in business that is exactly who you would want to marry your daughter?
Wow, that's deep.
It was very deep.
Yeah, that's a great question actually to ask any guy.
Yeah, so that's where you have to build up yourself, because you only attract who you are to your own life.
Yep.
So at the time, I was trying to figure it out. Sales kind of all mess at the time. I was just attracting Miami girls that were like on that vibration.
Right.
But as you grow and you build your brand, this is why it's so important to do the internal work. You just had a guy on like just recently that really is speaking about internal work and what you need to do to level your vibration, your frequency.
Yep.
And the highest you can get that, and the most professional version that you can be, where you show up for yourself, that's the kind of girl you're gonna get.
Yeah. Dude, I love that.
Yeah.
I didn't know you were that good at singing, man. We're gonna have to get you on stage.
We'll have to set something up.
Dude, do you get nervous, or are you really confident?
I've been doing that since I was little.
Okay.
I've been in plays. I've done like off-Broadway shows.
Nice.
Where I've memorized way more lines than any sales script. I have no idea how I ever did it. And I did a Jersey Boys off-Broadway production in Boca Raton for like a couple shows. We made like $20,000 in a weekend. It was pretty good show that we had. I played the part of Bob Gaudio, sang, acted, and all of that. That was some really great experiences. I want to shout her out because she's awesome, and I'd love to get her on your show.
Yeah.
I think you would really appreciate talking to this girl. Her name's Ileana Gen. She was a co-star of mine in the show. We like ran off backstage for the scene where Bob Gaudio like gets with the girl for the first time, and we just had so much fun in the show. Now she's a huge TikToker and huge YouTube personality.
Wow.
And her knowledge of social media, she was a C-list actor. She hasn't gotten into our space yet, the podcasting space or anything, but she grew her brand she just shifted out of C-rate films, working with like Lou Ferrigno and these guys, to 11 million followers on TikTok.
Damn.
All acting.
That's
and then
crazy.
I had her do like a little course thing for some of my clients at Valuetainment. She blew up one of my clients, Dr. Brady, who's in Washington. He's a dentist. He's huge on TikTok now.
Wow.
Just from the conversation they had about her strategies.
That's crazy.
And she's filming these like Black Mirror short films. I'm going to be in one. I'm talking about being in one. But these like Black Mirror, you know the show.
I love Black Mirror.
Black Mirror, but for YouTube template with like 15-minute long. So they're shorter form for people to watch online, but they're so cool.
Yeah.
And the highest level of production.
Those are my favorite shows. Black Mirror, shows that make you think. Like those are my like thriller genres.
Yeah.
Those are my favorite.
But that's where my acting background kind of came from, doing off Broadway. And then I was in the biggest wedding band in Miami.
Wow.
Prior to and I met my friend Omar Rosario, who's very big in the space. He's producing Super Bowl. He's here right now producing for 40 days, putting everything together. He literally outlines like the entire layout of what the
40
event's
days?
going to be for 40 days straight.
Jeez.
He does major music festivals down in Miami. He did Art With Me, which is a huge show, and he outlines all this stuff. So that's what made me just fall in love with the production work, because it's so cool, like the design and the format.
Yeah.
So I meet him, and he's starting to help me out with my house music sing, because I want to go into house music and sing house music. And we become very good friends, and he's building it up. And I produced a Yay event with him in Miami.
Yay event?
One of Kanye's shows that was like a Christian event that he did on the water.
Oh, wow.
And it was a very interesting event. It was kind of bizarre, but that's him. And then it happened right after that. So the entire industry shut down. Like billions of dollars in the music industry just shut down overnight when happened. And so that pushed me out of the music industry, singing all the time.
Damn.
I was singing in a wedding band,
And you haven't just come back to it since?
No, because I fell into working with Pat, and I just fell in love
it.
with social media and this whole new wave.
Yeah.
I think long term, eventually, like maybe 35, 40, I'll have like a Bublé style show where I'll integrate all of these things and sing. And
I just saw him on Diary of a CEO. That was a great episode. Did you see that one?
Really? Michael Bublé?
Michael Bublé.
Oh, dude, I have to see
crazy lifestyle, because he went on tour for 20 years straight. And he got a little lost in the sauce. The music industry is a fascinating space, because there's so many people trying to take advantage of you. And I feel like it's hard to keep your mental fortitude there.
That's what I didn't like about it, because I knew at the end of the day there was going to be a conversation that I was going to have, that I was going to have to give away a lot of my freedoms, a lot of my liberties. And in the new digital space that we're in, it's decentralization of information. It's decentralization of finance. And so this gives us our own abilities to build our own brands, to be creators of what we want to bring to the world.
Absolutely.
Right, which is what you're doing here. And I love the show, man. I really do. It's just so organic.
Dude, I love pods. I feel like independent creators, like podcasts, are going to overtake traditional media eventually.
Definitely.
It's already starting.
So this is really cool. I was doing some consulting with the filming I was doing, and social media consulting with a political strategy firm. Can't tell which one. But he showed me a breakdown of, they know what votes come from where with the polling. So he showed me a polling data breakdown where he showed the age group and where they get their information from. So like 65 and up, it's almost 100% newspaper and TV.
Right.
And then the next bracket down is a mix. And the next bracket down is a mix. Then when you go from 35 down, it's all social media.
Wow.
But the thing is, I said, oh, wow, this is a great market. We're going to start consulting right away. And I could definitely, add a lot of benefit to the different political people that you want to push. I can help them out with their social media. They can start getting a lot of votes in their local areas.
Yeah.
35 and under doesn't vote
Really?
anywhere near the same rate that 65 and up does.
Wow.
But what it showed me is that in the future, TV's going down. Newspaper's going down. We all know this.
Newspaper's down right now.
Our group of consumers is going to be podcasts, which is going to podcast is going to take the same place that TV had, because it's more of a formal environment.
Yeah.
Then you're going to have streams, and then other social media like TikTok.
Right.
And that's going to take the older age group, which is, you're already seeing this. Like maybe your dad, or like my dad, he's 72. He would have seen a YouTube episode of Joe Rogan, but he's not on TikTok.
No.
Right? So you have to, if you build your approach in PR and building your brand long term, it has to have heavy on YouTube, which is very hard to build. So you really got to go for it.
Super hard.
YouTube, Instagram, other social medias to build it out, to go from the older age groups to the lower. And then Pat, for instance, because he knows that everything's important, he still goes on Fox. So working that into, that might be a cool move for you, or any big social media creator. Still try to use a traditional media outlet. Like even Tate did it. Tate went on Pierce Morgan. It's like, why are you talking to Pierce? Well, because that's a totally different age group that you need a buy-in if you're trying to monetize.
Yeah, Pierce. So he's on TV. That pod is not independent.
Well, I believe that pod is independent, but I'm saying the consumer group that is Pierce's fan base that probably follows his pod is a much older age group.
Right, it is. Because he used to be on TV too.
Yes, he used to be like a main anchor on the BBC or something of the sort. So,
I love that him and Tucker left TV, dude.
Yeah.
They're so authentic now. It's amazing to watch. You know they're not getting paid off. You know they're asking authentic questions, and they're asking what the people want. And it throws a lot of their guests off, because the guests are so media trained sometimes. Yeah. And they're used to going on TV, but now they could just be themselves.
This is where we have the true decentralization of information age, which is also paralleling with the DeFi movement of decentralization of finance. And you can take these two movements and start to really empower people all over the world to make more money through the social media strategies like utilize LinkMe and the funnel that can be built or coming on your show. This is a way to empower other people to make money outside of the norm, outside of the marketing on a big, TV network. This is how we all win, is more conversations like this.
Absolutely. Don, it's been a pleasure, man. Where can people find out more about you?
Yeah, so right now, I mean, you could download LinkMe and do at Don Capi. That's my name on LinkMe. But at Don the Producer _ is me on Instagram. I'd love to have a conversation with you guys. Anybody that wants social media help, as an advisor, I can come on and advise your brands. Placement on podcasts, we could also make some of that happen. But I just want to have a genuine conversation with people and help them out and make more money.
Absolutely, man. We'll link it in the video. Thanks for coming on, dude.
Thanks, brother.
Yeah, thanks for watching, guys, as always, and I'll see you tomorrow.